Chapter 6. Thunderous applause greeted them on the other side of the door. Beatrix blinked in the bright lights that narrowed in on her and Gwendolen.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the grand entertainment. Here is our final act. Save the roses for the end.
A voice boomed over the crowd. They were in some sort of theatre, with the curtains wide open. People clambered in their seats, but they looked odd for some reason. Masks were pinned up the wall, and the backdrop was that of clouds and red blood sky. A man stood on the other side of the stage. The man at the mic turned around to look over at the two of them. Beatrix squeaked. It wasn't a man at all. It was her jester doll. His face was white, his skin gone, a skull head. His eyes were red, and his fingers and legs were skinless. Bones, like his face, attached to his body were several strings. A puppet. He grinned at them, his jaw moving like a nutcracker doll.
You've made it so far. The necromancer wants to congratulate you, Miss Beatrix. He asked that I introduce you to him. But first, I want to play.
The audience, which Beatrix suddenly realised were hundreds of puppets, roared in laughter, as if the jester had made some sort of joke. Gwendolen gritted her teeth, clenching her fists. "Leave her alone, Jack." The jester frowned, a truly strange image.
Oh, come now, Gwen. Let's not be that way. You just need to cut your strings a little.
He snapped his fingers. Gwendolen screamed as her body shrunk, turning into a doll again. "Gwendolen!" Beatrix screamed, rushing over to the doll.
Oh, come now, darling. She was of no consequence. She doesn't know how to laugh. Just you and me.
He laughed as he pulled a paintbrush out of his clothes. Beatrix narrowed her eyes, pulling out her own. "You're sick!" the jester cackled.
No, I'm just funny.
Beatrix gripped her paintbrush tighter. The jester laughed.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
He snapped his fingers again. There was a rattling noise as something descended from the ceiling. "Mum! Dad! No!" Beatrix groaned, seeing her parents' unconscious bodies in the cage. The jester chuckled.
You or them, sweetie?
Beatrix's heart groaned. She sighed, dropping her weapon. The jester grinned.
Good girl. Props!
Ropes appeared out of the sides of the stage, wrapping around her body. A piece of cloth was shoved into her mouth, gagging her. She fell to her knees, her hands bound behind her back. The jester lumbered forward, his long arms swinging methodically, like the arm of a grandfather clock.
I mean you no disrespect, Beatrix, but that dress really doesn't match your figure.
He placed a finger on her chest. Beatrix felt the fabric of her dress move, and the dress fall off her shoulders. She blushed as she realised she was standing there, with only her underwear. Her heart thumped furiously in her chest. A cold metal chain appeared around her neck. The jester grabbed her chain, pulling her forward. He grabbed a fistful of her hair.
Such a pretty shade of blood.
He licked his lip, and then glanced over at Gwendolen.
Didn't you wonder why the doll maker asked for such a strange item?
He pulled harder on her hair. He grabbed his knife, parting some of her hair from her head.
Thank you. This will work perfectly.
Beatrix whimpered. What are you going to do to me? The jester grinned.
The necromancer has your heart, see? It makes him stronger. But with you as his slave, he will be invincible.
No, I won't do it. The jester grinned.
Did you forget about your parents already?
It's not real! The jester's grin fell.
What?
I'm an illusionist, just like you. You're lying to me. The chain disappeared, an illusion created by Beatrix herself. Her dress reappeared. She dashed out of the jester's swipe, grabbed her paintbrush, and threw it at the jester. He gasped as the brush pierced his chest.
That's not funny!
He fell backwards and shrunk into a doll, landing beside Gwendolen. Something fell out of his pocket. Her heart, Beatrix realised. The world was starting to collapse. The dolls in the audience began to scream as pieces of furniture collapsed. It was time to go. Beatrix stooped down, grabbing her heart and shoving it into her chest. The yarn heart melted, falling to the ground. Ignoring the pain, Beatrix grabbed the two dolls on the floor before the world vanished.